boss.
Huh.
Live from the USA, helping you get paid every day. This is the boss of Bitcoin, the Cristo of crypto. It's your boy BK. And if you don't like me, you must not like money. Thank you for joining me, everybody. As you see, I got a little competition episode. We're going to do a lot more discussing of the technology and the protocols and the businesses that are being built on the blockchain and how they're transforming society. And today we're starting that discussion with Nano and Iota. So stay tuned for that. One of the quick things I wanted to do was not only talk about their individual strategies and execution plans, which I will address in the next episode. This will actually be a two-part video. Part one, we'll talk about the technical analysis. Part two, we'll get into each of, the business plans, the websites, the execution strategies, how they differ from each other, how they compare to each other. Ultimately, just trying to provide some more insight and knowledge on the blockchain in general with regards to these big-time projects that are being built out. One of, I think, my most popular videos was a Neo analysis back in the day, back last summer, when I talked about Neo and having partnered with Microsoft and, being Ethereum for China, different things like that. And a lot of people ended up making a lot of money, just by seeing that video, learning about it, becoming comfortable, and then ultimately profiting from that information. So now I think it's an opportunity to kind of revisit what we saw be successful, in this methodology of teaching, and I'll be doing that, starting that process today with Nano and Iota. We'll be kind of doing a comparison between the two, but remember that only one will be featured on our Dream Team report, available right now at bossofbitcoin.com. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you go over to the website, pick it up. It's $35. A list of top 10 coins that are the next generation of greatness. Imagine yourself being Phil Jackson, having young Shaq and young Kobe, baby Kobe with the fro, number 8 for the Lakers, and baby Shaq fresh out of Louisville. This is what we putting together. That's the list with the Dream Team. So let's go ahead and get to this money with Nano and Iota. Type in BD Kelly 1203. You'll be able to follow me there. I post free charts, every week, just to give you guys an insight and a heads up on the energy levels that I see as they're changing and, forecast it all the way through. I posted this one, a couple days after my birthday back about a week ago. This was on Ethereum Classic when I said it's setting up for a pullback, where you guys could look to buy it at. Let's see where it's at. So it's just starting to reach in that blue zone. It might drop a little bit lower. Stay tuned for that one. Without further ado, we will be looking at Iota, right? Normally, I look at a 343 chart at 343 minutes. You'll see on my playlist, Chart Like a Boss, exactly how to set this methodology up and how to use these intersections, these moving averages. The white is a 7, the blue is a 77, and the columns are a 231. You double click them, see them all right there, 777 231. And if you're just getting set up, then all you need to do is click that little sine wave line, go to the search spotlight, type in BK, and download the boss method right there. Boom, boom, right? So for Iota, we see that this is not a very strong chart on a 343. But there is a reason I'm making this video, and it's not to tell you about the weakness of either of these two coins, right? When we look below the surface, just by zooming in, we can actually see that it looks like a little shift is happening in Iota, given that, we're making higher lows. We didn't bottom all the way out here. And we're kind of bubbling right there, and that's actually a kind of like a hidden bull indicator, right? You'll see now I'm also using an RSI. I think this can help us, you know, kind of look at the different levels relative to the strength of the chart. It's a simple RSI 1470.30. I'll make another video to show you guys what that's all about. But when we jump down to the 77, we see inside Iota, and now it looks a little bit different. Remember, the 77 is essentially 4 times as fast as the 343. So what happens in the 77 normally takes, you know, happens in 1/4 of the time as the 343. So this intersection right here is the biggest intersection I look for in any chart, and that is if the 77 is above the 231. Once that 77, you know, breaks out into this black zone here, that means we are clean and clear and the quick money is in, right? Now keep in mind, this is not a clean breakout and it's not going to do something like that right away, but it's almost an early indicator of what's to come, and it looks like Iota is gearing up for a global reversal. What does that look like? What does that mean? Well, a global reversal in my book is going from a situation to where all 3 lines were negative, 1, 2, 3, to all 3 lines becoming positive, 1, 2, 3. Right? And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes normally about 6 weeks to set up. If we scale this thing back, we can see that Iota actually started, you know, this whole process, it looks like 6 days ago. So, you know, we're just finishing the first phase of this thing. That 231 still has a while to go, but it is hopeful for the future. I think the thing that we'll look for in the quick money on this chart is for that 77 to bottom out, right? That's going to look something like that. And if that 77 can stay above it, I think we can allow the 7 to go down a little bit and come back, and that will give enough of a window for Iota to start to turn around. So this thing is not a breakout buy right now, but it should be on your radar for the long money, because if you're, you know, a day trader, a swing trader, these are the setups you look for. When the quick money comes to town and the long money hasn't woken up to it yet, you know, this is essentially a pretty big jump all the way up there. You know, we can make about 15% on this thing before the market even wakes up to it, right? And the only thing I did was I know that the 231 is kind of like the ceiling on any breakout. If we bought it right down here, it makes it up to that 231. We sell it up there, bam, that's 16%, right? Next up is Nano. This is the rebranded coin formerly known as Raiblocks. So now it's known as Nano. You can see on the 343 it doesn't show us much information at all. The only thing it shows us is that the white is over the blue, which means you know what to do. Put your money down, get your ticket, and jump on the money train, right? And also, but under the scenes, under the hood, we can see that that 231, or I'm sorry, the 77 is positive. So the 7's positive, the 77's positive. This thing is money on money. You should be a little concerned up there. We're getting into the oversold, overbought section, right? So this is not a strong area to buy into. More than likely it'll come down, do something like that, catch its breath before it does something like that. Let's jump down inside the 77 though. That's why I like this setup here. When we look at the 77, again, the biggest intersection you guys want to look for is that one right there. Once that happened, this thing had some long support, and you see it almost rolled that line all the way up, right? Now what we said is we're pretty much running into this ceiling up here, and we can expect a relative correction, you know, just being that, you know, we don't have enough strength, being already oversold right here before we even make it to the ceiling. We're not going to have enough strength to break through it and do something like that, right? So what do I expect to happen? Now we expect to come back down. How low are we going to come down? More than likely we're going to come down to the area that we came from, right? Which is right there. Let me bring this up a little bit. So we'll have that. as our floor. That's our ceiling. And now we're trying to look at this thing on the inside to get a better picture, right? It's a very, very strong chart. You can see it's already making major moves on a 343. We may not get, this thing is so strong, you know, that we may not be able to come all the way down. If that's the case, then I look to catch this thing. Let's turn these off real quick. I would look to catch, at least get my foot in the door right there, right? I call that our quick support line. All I did was I dropped down to that little hump right there. And when we turn the candles on, you can see that, you know, that act as a pretty decent support level right there as we bounce down. If you wanted to, you know, play the candles a little bit more, you can put it up there. And this is what those different levels look like, right? So our limit, our ceiling, is essentially, you know, 16.5. Our medium term support, quick support, I call it, is right there at about 14.7. And if we wanted to ride this thing all down and try to play our odds at getting our best return, that would be down there at 13.3. All in all, it's not a bad chart, not a bad setup at all. Even given, you know, the current price of 15.7, once we break out into our continuation pattern, because that's what this is setting up to do. It's literally just taking a break, but it's going to continue to go up. So once that happens, let's see, we can do this. Look at that, look at that. That confirms that as our ceiling up there. Once we break through that 1.6, we're gonna head north to the 2.4, and that would put us up there at 21, right? So it's not a guaranteed that it'll happen in the next cycle, but that will be essentially the next level that you look to swing out of this thing. So if you know, we were playing this thing low to high, that would be our high point. Sell it at the high, buy it at the low. This would be our low point to buy it, and then when it gets back up there, that would be our high point to sell it, right? And just by doing that, we would look to make, if we're able to buy it down there, let's say we wait, hold off, and we buy it when it falls to this quick support, you're still looking at about 50%. That's not bad. If you're able to buy it all the way down there, you're looking at about 62%. So you can see this is a pretty decent setup, right? But keep in mind, these cycles do take time, and because we're looking inside a 77-minute, it's not as strong as if it was forming on a 343. Now you can see that the likelihood for it to get 62% inside of 5 days is not very likely, so it's going to have to bounce down in here. But ultimately, when it does fill, whenever it fills, that's what is going to happen. That's where it's going to be drawn to on its next circuit and its next cycle, and that is how you chart like a boss.